Handling a rebellious student.
There are three primary human needs. One of them is that life be both meaningful and fun. All of us want our lives to count for something. We want to engage in activities that we judge to be meaningful, that touch our lives and the lives of others in a manner that makes a difference. And along the way, we want to experience moments of recreation, humor, and fun. Unfortunately for many students, school is one of the last places where those expectations are met. The main complaint that students lodge against school is that it is boring. A boring classroom has two components. The students do not perceive the curriculum as being useful or pertinent to their lives. The students seldom, if ever, get to experience an upbeat atmosphere or fun in the classroom. Without question, teaching is one of the most difficult professions. Not only must successful teachers cover the mandated curriculum, those materials must be presented in a manner that is both meaningful and interesting. Ms. Phelps was a high school history teacher. Her attitude toward kids was one of, "It's me against them." Consequently, she was not well liked by the students in her classroom. In addition, her approach to teaching history was boring and unimaginative. Instead of sharing some of the fascinating stories regarding significant people throughout history, she passed out worksheets and timelines and asked her students to memorize them. One afternoon, while Miss Phelps was in the middle of a meaningless recital of dates and facts, a student interrupted her. Bored to death by what was taking place, Jessica started questioning the value of the lesson. She said, "Miss Phelps, what on earth does William the Conqueror's conquest of the Saxons in 1066 have to do with me?" Flustered by the rebellious comment, Miss Phelps demanded that Jessica be quiet and pay attention. Jessica then started talking loudly with students on either side of her. Miss Phelps' response was to move the girl's desk to the back of the classroom and to place a large portable chalkboard between her and the other students. On the other side of the partition, Jessica started knocking on the chalkboard and asking, "Miss Phelps, may I ask a question?" "Hey, I have a question!" Her rebellious behavior was greeted by laughter from the class. Frustrated, the teacher finally gave up and commanded all the students to spend the rest of the class period in silence. Miss Phelps felt discouraged and guilty over her inability to maintain classroom decorum. Even though I'm sure that all of our lesson plans are more interesting than Miss Phelps and our methods of discipline are more effective than hers, haven't we all experienced some of those same feelings of discouragement and guilt? When students do not experience school as either meaningful or fun, they resort to rebellion. Although they probably are not consciously aware of their motivations, rebellious students are conveying one of two messages. I'm protesting the fact that the subject matter we are studying has no relevance to my life, or this class is boring and I'm going to create a little diversion and fun. Here's a tip-off for teachers in regard to what's going on. If the student's behavior makes the teacher feel guilty regarding her competence as a teacher, then the student's unmet need is for life to be meaningful and fun, and her way of filling that need is through rebellion. The nearly 12% of school-age children who are ADHD are particularly at risk for this misbehavior. The best way to curb rebellious behavior is prevention. First of all, teachers must pay careful attention to the manner in which the curriculum is taught so that, whenever possible, students can view a particular subject as being useful to them. Let me give you some examples. A study of history can be enlivened by discussing how historical figures reacted to moments of crisis in their lives. What qualities allowed some of them to overcome personal tragedies while others were destroyed by similar events? Can those same qualities be helpful to us in dealing with our own problems and overcoming the adversity in our lives? Grammar is important in learning how to speak and to read and to write correctly. The ability to read and to write well provides a huge advantage in filling out job applications, while proper speaking helps convey a good impression in job interviews. Basic math skills are vital in learning how to read maps, to buy and sell things, to figure out batting averages, and to balance bank accounts. Higher math skills provide the opportunity to become good problem solvers, key elements in becoming a successful accountant or engineer. A study of great literature can be useful in improving writing skills, as well as introducing important ideas and concepts regarding human existence. Learning a foreign language can be extremely helpful in expanding job possibilities. When lesson plans are being developed, teachers must be intentional about exercising the very best of their creative abilities to make the curriculum relevant and meaningful to students' lives. The second element in preventing rebellious behavior is for teachers to promote classroom conditions that are conducive to fun. Great teaching is not only useful, but it's also entertaining. A good sense of humor is helpful. However, while it is appropriate for a teacher to gently poke fun at himself, a cardinal rule is that humor should never be employed at the expense of a student. When possible, games, projects, and even class outings are additional tools that can be used in making school an enjoyable experience for students. When a teacher is confronted by rebellious behavior, the important thing is not to argue with the student, because that is precisely what a bored student desires. Real problem solving never takes place when people are angry and engaged in conflict. The first task of the teacher is to calm down the immediate situation. Maintaining a dispassionate demeanor and speaking in a calm, normal volume voice, the teacher can say, "John, your behavior is not helpful to me, to you, or to the rest of the class. Let's either talk about your feelings now, or let's set a time when we can talk later. Which would you prefer?" Once the situation has calmed down, the teacher then can solicit ideas from the rebellious student and her classmates as to how to make class sessions more meaningful and fun. When a student persists with rebellious behavior, he should not be allowed to remain as a disruptive force in the classroom. In those rare instances when a student will not evaluate and change his disruptive behaviors, he must be removed from the classroom, following school procedures in regard to seeing a counselor or going to detention classes. However, removing a child from class should be a last disciplinary resort. A student should not be sent to the office for disciplinary purposes simply because the teacher is tired of dealing with her. Studies show that suspending or expelling a student can have some very negative effects on that student's attitude towards school. That's why, if removal from the classroom becomes necessary, it is important for the teacher to send notes and to visit the student in detention, so that the student is aware that the teacher continues to care for him. Also, the teacher should make every effort to let the student know that he has choices and that the decision to be removed from the class is a choice made by the student, not by the teacher. That way, the teacher is still the student's advocate, and the student is welcome to come back to class when he is ready to follow class rules in extending courtesy toward his teachers and fellow students. By far, the most effective tactic in averting rebellious behavior is for a teacher to let her students know that she cares for them. Students will endure a boring, non-fun lecture for the sake of a teacher that they recognize as an advocate. When a nurturing, caring teacher creates a classroom atmosphere that is meaningful, enjoyable, and fun, students tend to behave. Remember, the process begins with asking the question, what is the unmet need of this student? Address that need, and the misbehavior will usually disappear.
Let's take a look at the student misbehavior chart. What is the unmet need of the student? If the student's actions seem to say, "I am so bored, I hate being here. Why can't we ever do anything and have some fun?" And you feel guilty, "I'm not a good teacher. I need to do a better job of relating to my students," then you're probably dealing with a rebellious student. The student is hostile and unfriendly and is difficult to be around. The student's unmet need is the need for life to be meaningful and fun. What can you do? Make the lesson material relevant to the students' lives. Use a sense of humor, play games. Have class outings and projects.